Sunday Surefire podcast. It's your host this week, Aaron Downtown Brown. I got the co-host with me, Ethan Weaver.
Aaron, how we doing?
We are doing, Ethan. It's week 10. I mean, I guess I'll just stop it there. Wait, what do you think, man? It's flying by. Season's flying by.
Hey, it really is. I can't believe it. Week 10 already, halfway done. The NFL season, fantasy playoffs are what 4 games left. It's just crazy. The trade deadline is come and gone in the NFL. It's just been such a crazy fast year so far. I mean, we've been so locked in to obviously DFS, redraft, dynasty. So the weeks just fly by.
It is. It's definitely. I mean, every year's got its own little thing to it, and I think passing yards are down a little bit. The year started off with just scoring was every team was having a hard time scoring. Top. I mean, if you look at the top 15 wide receivers this year, you would have never guessed over half of them, I would say. So preseason, it's crazy. You got, some folks. You got our boys Mooney coming out of
I
the
was going to say,
woodwork.
Mooney's there, baby.
He's there. Yeah, you got so many names that are top 15 or 12 wide receivers that I guess we'll see for the second half of the season. It's really like this is the time of year your studs, like this was your CD Lamb of last year, right? Like this is where some of your studs started coming through, where teams are making playoff pushes in real football, right? And that's where they really need some of those guys to shine. So maybe we'll see some of that turnover if you've really invested hard in your fantasy leagues. But we actually just got done doing a live stream, so we did some waiver advice, we did some trade advice, and things like that. So make sure you're following us on all of our socials there. We had some good dialogue. And it's definitely, I think we all need it. We all even need a sounding board, as we're making these playoff pushes. So, Ethan, any comments before we kick it off with week 10?
No, just hey, like I said, it's week 10, playoffs. Usually start week 14. So they're almost there. So try to make the last second tweaks to your teams. Try to get some guys off waivers. Do what you need to do to get yourself in the dance.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, now's the time. Don't stop making. And even if you're comfortable, even if you're a top 3 team, you can't get too comfortable. Keep looking at the waivers. You never know. You get a certain injury. You don't want that to go downhill either. But we'll go ahead and actually switch gears and go to our normal DFS weekly show. And I'll throw this on the screen here. We got week 10, as we said. I will up on the top. We do have a week 9 highest score between me, you, and Kamish. Ethan, I'll give you your time to shine a little bit and just start with I told you so's from week 9. You got 138 points in week 9 in our DFS competition. What were some of those key call outs?
Yeah, I was happy to take down our friendly matchup again. And my biggest hit was Devon A-Chain. He cost $6,700 to get into your lineup, and he produced 32.1 points. My hot take last week that he was going to have 125 scrimmage yards, rushing, receiving, and 2 touchdowns. I was very close. He had 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, hey, I'll take it. I'll take that. A-Chain was just the offense has been going through Devon A-Chain, and he's been producing for fantasy managers and winning people DFS lineups as well as your redraft or dynasty league. So Devon A-Chain's been an animal once when Tua is in the lineup. And then this is kind of I told you so. Matt Stafford, he had a low cost, $5,700, and he produced 18.92 fantasy points, so over 3x his total. So those were some guys that helped me win. I believe I had guys like Chase Brown, Devonta Smith in my lineup too. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, definitely. Key call outs. I think, we got a nice little battle going. You're definitely in the league, but I'm not too far behind you here too. So we'll actually go on a week 10 here, and kind of, we like doing, these days now. Kind of got a little different format for some of those. Just want to get a quick snapshot of guys, maybe some of you YouTube viewers hey, like take a screenshot. Here's a couple of our key plays in DFS too, but we'll go through our normal categories as you see bullish buys. That's where we kind of kick it off with, who we, sometimes paying up for, just who are really, really confident on delivering. And then we have a two deep section. That's where we talking defense, and then our favorite pick six category. And that's where we talk six value plays for the week in DFS, where we all give kind of our favorite value plays for the week for their price, different price points too. So Ethan, I'll let you kick it off first with your bullish buy in the top right corner there.
Yeah, if you can't tell what that picture is, it's Saquon Barkley backwards hurdling over defenders. So that was
Woo.
an insane. That was an insane play. I mean, he's been just an insane player this year. Saquon Barkley on the Eagles is he's taken it to another level, and he's been an absolute league winner thus far this season for everybody that was able to draft him in your redraft leagues at the end of the first, early second round. He's playing like the guy that the Giants took in that top of the first round a few years ago. But Saquon Barkley, I don't think there's at this point right now, I mean, arguably not a safer running back to put in your lineup. Maybe Devon A-Chain with Tua. But he's had 27 and 22 carries in back-to-back games. He's just been an absolute workhorse for the Eagles. He's had basically 30 points in two out of his last three games. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have allowed the most rush expected points added on the season. So expected points added EPA is a measure of success, which defines the value of each play by the effect it has on the offense's likelihood to score. So Dallas Cowboys, like I said, have allowed the most rush EPA this year. So it's running backs have had very much success on the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're going to run away with this game with Cooper Rush at quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys are kind of a mess. They haven't been very good against the run. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to run down their throats. I mean, there's nothing more the Eagles probably want to do than just embarrass the Cowboys. It does not look like it's the Cowboys' year.
No.
But I just think the Eagles being touchdown favorites are going to keep this game in hand, and Saquon Barkley is going to have a field day. So, as I said, very, very safe option. He is expensive. He is 8,300, but with some of the money I saved at the other positions, I was able to fit him in my lineup.
Yeah, I like that call out. I mean, he was one of the first guys I wanted to gravitate toward. I wanted to get Saquon in my lineup. I actually did not fit him in. I actually went with the guy you see to the left there, and it actually looks like me and Kamish both have him. And that's Bijan Robinson, right? So I guess just calling out Bijan this week. He's going against the Saints, where we kind of know they're kind of going downhill very very quickly. Just lost their head coach. Just lost to the Carolina Panthers too. So definitely not on a good trend lately. But Bijan, I mean, just talking about that matchup alone, New Orleans is the second worst run defense rating by PFF, and for a lot of reasons right here. I mean, they have the worst average depth of tackle in the running game. And they're also bottom third in missed tackle rate as well. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but Bijan, Bijan is pretty shifty. He can make people miss. So when you're going against, one of the worst, the highest missed tackle rate defense, I think Bijan's going to put up some highlight plays, just like the one that you see Saquon in that corner making a play like that. So I think Bijan has a play that will. Maybe not. I don't think we'll ever see a backwards hurdle, maybe ever again. But I think Bijan will put up some highlights. So I noticed that both Kamish and I both have Bijan this week. Any thoughts, sir?
No, I like that call. I mean, he's arguably been just as safe as Saquon in the last 4 weeks. He's had over 20 points last 4 weeks. I mean, Bijan Robinson, don't have to really go into too much detail of how talented of a running back he is. The Falcons offense is absolutely cooking. As you mentioned, our guy Mooney, I think he's top 12 receiver right now. So
Right.
Captain Kirk is steering the ship to open waters, baby. So I think Bijan Robinson does have a very good day this week in Week 10. So I like that call.
Yeah, definitely two very safe calls, and that's really the key of the story is once you're paying up, for some of those type of guys, how can you fit some other guys in your lineup? So we'll move on kind of to this next section here where you see the too deep section. And Ethan, I'll kick it over to you. We're talking defenses here. Looks like you have the highest price defense with my beloved Chiefs, but why don't you go ahead and tell us why you like the Chiefs this week?
Honestly, I had the Eagles in my lineup at first, but when I was tinkering with my lineup, I had some extra money to spend, so I actually moved on from the Eagles and took your Chiefs. So I do like your call with the Eagles a lot. I think they're gonna make Cooper Rush have a very long day. I mean, that offense for Dak and the Cowboys wasn't cooking with him at the helm. So not to get ahead, but I do like your call. The Kansas City Chiefs. I just think Bo Nix. I mean, going into Arrowhead is a tall task, tall order for him. The Denver Broncos didn't fare too well against another good team last week, the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens had 10 points in DraftKings lineups against these Denver Broncos. And I just think the Chiefs have a better defense than the Baltimore Ravens. I think Bo Nix, I believe it's his first time going to Arrowhead. So it's going to be a very tough environment for him. The Ravens held the Broncos team to only 10 points. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to kind of run away with this one. They're going to force Bo Nix to drop back probably more than the Broncos would like. And I think the Chiefs are going to get a decent amount of sacks and they're going to force some turnovers. So I just like the upside in Kansas City. I think Kansas City has the best defense out of the Chicago Bears, Eagles, the ones that are on the screen right now. And they're going against a rookie quarterback that I think they're going to force to struggle here in Week 10.
Yeah, I don't mind that call out. Obviously being a Chiefs fan too, but yeah, I mean definitely a little bit on the more expensive side in DFS. So if you can afford them, like I said, I don't hate it for DFS. I went with the Eagles this week, and kind of going back to your matchup against the Cowboys. I think it's one where that division rivalry. I think when the Eagles can beat up on the Cowboys, they'll take it any chance they can get. So I think a couple of things here. I mean, Eagles are favored by a touchdown, favored 7 points. I think on the betting terms, I would be likely to take that spread. Being heavy favorites. Actually, even on the Eagles defense, they have been climbing the leaderboards on defense recently for as far as PFF grading too. They've been getting healthier on defense as well. They've climbed to the second best pass rush in the league. And then that's just coming now, we know, off of Dak's injury as well. So I think the Eagles can really get after Cooper Rush this week too. Get some sacks, get some turnovers. I think they can get a defensive score out of it and really just put on the beat down against the Cowboys this week. So I went with the Eagles. So Ethan, any comments on that? And then why don't you talk about Kamish's pick next with Bears Patriots?
Yeah, with the Eagles, like I said, I mean, classic example of a defense is playing relatively well against a backup quarterback. So not much more to add there. Like the call, and then the Chicago Bears going against a rookie quarterback on the road in Chicago. Their offensive line is in shambles. They have no receivers other than basically Hunter Henry, the tight end, to throw the ball to. They can't run the ball, so everything is put on Drake May. So honestly, for $3,000, why not take the shot against the Chicago Bears? They're probably going to get 4+ sacks. And Drake May, as good as I think he has looked, he should have more interceptions than what shows on his stat sheet, because Just some of these defenders just can't catch the ball because he's throwing it right to him. But rookie, like I said, Drake May, I love what I see. I think he is going to, I think the Patriots found their quarterback of the future. And I'm excited to see what his future holds. But he's still a rookie quarterback. Very little experience under the belt. So if you're going to take a shot for $3,000, the New England Patriots are definitely a team to target.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like when we do this as a team, and we got a good range of defenses here. We got expensive 36, 3,500, and we got, a little bit cheaper play that's a very good value with the Bears going against one of the lower offenses in the league too. So,
You can say it, the worst offense in the league.
hey, I'm trying to be a little politically correct for you. Give it 30 a little bone here. But yeah, no, I think from DFS terms, it gives you, I think we're giving everybody a good range, if you're trying to play around with your lineups a little bit. But definitely some solid choices all around. I do like all three of our choices here. Obviously mine being the best, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. But yeah, no, we'll kind of move on from this section, go to our pick six section. And let's actually just start with Kamish's picks first. He's got D Hop at 5,300, and then he's got Dalton Kincaid at 4,900. We actually just had a live stream. We had a couple questions over D Hop. Is he a week to week starter? I think it was, pretty much solid agreement that yes, D Hop's going to be pretty safe moving on, week in, week out. So I definitely like the D Hop call against Denver. I don't really, I don't really care what corner he goes up against. I think he is actually, if he's not prime D-Hop, he's pretty close to it. He's looking good. I think he's kind of re-energized with Mahomes being on a team like the Chiefs coming from the Titans. So definitely like D-Hop. Ethan, if you want to comment on that, and we'll move on to Kincaid afterwards.
Oh yeah, I think D Hop at a price point of 5,300. Obviously, DraftKings really hasn't adjusted too much since his past performance of, I believe, 8 for 87 and 2 touchdowns. D Hop is definitely going to be one of Mahomes' best targets and best receivers going forward this for the rest of the year, him and Travis Kelce. So I think he's going to get all the work he can handle. As I said on our live stream, classic example of an aging vet, basically stud star receiver on a bad team, changes teams to a good Super Bowl contender and breaks out very early on. So I'm sure D Hop is extra motivated, playing with a competent quarterback play. So yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, he could be a league winner in redraft leagues. And I think at a price point of 5,300, it's hard to get much more upside than that.
Agreed. And kind of moving on to Dalton Kincaid here. I mean, we got that Bills Colts matchup, and it's funny. It's kind of a battle of the two poor slot defenses as well, where I think both teams kind of give up yardage over the year. They're kind of willing to be that slight bend but don't break defense, and kind of hoping they'll get sacks and turnovers and whatnot. But I like Kincaid. I mean, Cooper, we kind of heard late news that Amari was hurt, kind of dealing with that wrist injury. So it's really just Shakir, he's definitely going to get some targets. And then from there, it's really Kincaid. And I think the one thing we've seen where I think the Colts are slightly turning the table a little bit on defense, where they'll get a little bit better against the run. I mean, they got DeForest Buckner back, so I think they can keep it slightly interesting, at least maybe for the first half of the game. So I do like the call with Kincaid. I think they're gonna need to get out in front, and like I said, I think the Colts can kind of tame the Bills a little bit. They could pull away from the Colts, but I think their defense has gotten just a little bit better, where Kincaid can kind of stay in the game script. So I don't mind that Kincaid call from Kamish.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I really don't like both these picks.
Oh, really?
Well, like I said, I think D Hop, like in fantasy, is going to have a very good rest of year. But the more I thought about the matchup, Denver, I mean, Denver does have a very good defense. I mean, Pat Surtain has been awesome. Like, there's not very many options for that defense to focus on other than Kelsey and D Hop. I know you have Xavier Worthy, but I mean he played pretty bad last week. So maybe it's a worthy game, but I'm not going to pretend that Denver doesn't have a good
Yeah.
defense. So I think for a price point of 5,300, there's probably other receivers that have better matchups. I think even a guy like Jordan Addison, who's going against Jacksonville, he has a price point at the same 5,300. I'd probably rather lean Addison over a guy like D Hop. So kind of got caught up in just like what he did last week and like
Mhm.
changing teams. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, hey, I think I'd rather go in a different direction. And same with Kincaid. Like why do we, okay, yeah, it's a good matchup. That's great. But has Kincaid done anything all year? He hasn't had over 60 yards receiving, I don't think, in any game this year. I know Cooper might not be there and then obviously Shakir, but I mean, Josh Allen distributes the ball. I mean, I guess the thought here is Keon Coleman might not play either. So Kincaid did have 10 targets last week, only 4 receptions to show for it. So I understand the play. It's like, hey, the matchup favors the tight end position. Keon Coleman, Cooper may both be out. So actually, no, is Cooper going to play? Or
It's kind of shaky. I mean, he's dealing with that wrist injury. He may sit back on the field. You got to kind of track it.
yeah, so him and then same with Keon. Keon might not play either. So I understand it in that regard. They're going to have to throw to somebody, but I don't think they're going to have to throw too much or do too much to even beat the Colts. So I just think I'd rather go in a different direction at the tight end position because Kincaid just hasn't been it this year.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just like I said, I think the Colts are sneakily getting a little bit better. I know they just came off of a loss, but that defensive line is getting a lot better, and they gotta between their line and linebackers healthy now. I think they can stop the run, which will force you to pass. So like I said, whether it comes to fruition or not. But like I said, it's a good matchup statistically, right? Where I think Indianapolis, they've given up the third most receptions to either slot or tight ends in the league and 6 touchdowns overall. So if it's any week, I mean, it's a decent matchup wise.
No, I agree, and that's why I like the thought process. I think the process is correct. Kincaid saw the targets last week. It didn't amount to much. So if he can get the same target volume, which I would probably expect if Keon and Cooper aren't playing. I mean, but like we said, that's something to monitor. But I just Kincaid's just been a very big bust for where people I think draft him or what people expected him to be. And I'm actually surprised that the Colts, I mean, they're only 4-point dogs here. So I think I would easily take Bills -4 in this one if I was going to put some money on it. But that's
There you go.
enough Bills. That's enough Kincaid and Bills
Yeah.
talk.
All right, all right. Well, Mr. Know It All. Let's switch it over to your guys and let's talk your more expensive pick six guy with who you got at 5,200.
Yeah, talk about week 10 winners here. So yeah, so my first pick six player is Justin Herbert. He's being priced at 5,200, which is QB 21, which I think is a little low. I know Tennessee defense is relatively good. But they're kind of middle range against quarterbacks in terms of actually fantasy points. They're much, but they're very good. I believe they're number one in actually pass yards a game allowed, but they also are 27th in points allowed a game. So it's like take that with. I feel like they're good at limiting pass yards, but yet they're still allowing a lot of points. So the Tennessee Titans aren't a very good football team. I mean, they just took the Patriots just took them to overtime in Tennessee. Unfortunately, my Patriots lost. Well, I guess you can say sometimes it's fortunately too because they're still locking up that 101 this year. But since week 7, Herbert ranks second in pass yards per game, 303.3, 6th in pass attempts, 98, and 10th in fantasy points. A game, so 19.4. So I think at a price point of 5,200, with the way he's been throwing the ball, like basically over 30 times a game, he's been getting the yardage. QJ's stepped up this past week, and he had 18, I believe, of his 19.5 fantasy points in the first half this past week. They only threw the ball 11 times in the second half. Hopefully that's not the case against the Tennessee Titans, and hopefully Tennessee can keep it somewhat competitive. But I just think at $5,200, with the way Justin Herbert's been playing, I'm willing to take the shot, get him in my lineup, and it allows me to pay up for guys like Saquon Barkley. So I'm willing to take that risk at 5,200.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, when you have Saquon, you said it. I mean, when you have Saquon in your lineup, you definitely got to go cheaper at quarterback, or you won't be able to really have a competitive
Team.
lineup. Yeah, team after that. So, I mean, out of all guys to go, a little bit cheaper with, I definitely don't hate that logic. I mean, like you said, Tennessee has been kind of coming around a little bit on defense recently, especially in the rushing game, which is what LA was supposed to be kind of known for. I mean, the Chargers are favored very heavily at -375, which is very huge favorites. It's interesting. I'd almost even, if I were a betting man, that would be a fun one to kind of bet money line on the Titans because it's just too. I mean, it's too big of an upset, right?
uh, a fun time losing money.
No, I mean, you look at it.
I know.
The over under is the lowest of the week. It's a 38 over under. I think it definitely goes kind of back to that game streak. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed is he is battling a quad injury, so if he comes back, I kind of like Herbert pick less if my boy L'Jarius is playing. But hey, I mean, I already agreed with your reasoning. I don't like it because I got another quarterback, as you see, as we kind of move on to. So I would actually, I mean, I'm in the 5,000 range. I'm gonna move on to kind of Aaron Rodgers here, and I think this is the time. I think we called it last week. It was a must-win game. They're still trying to make a playoff push. I mean, you got this matchup, Aaron Rodgers in Arizona. It's only a 1 point spread, over 46. So I mean, you got a lot of nice Vegas things going on there. I think Rodgers should kind of keep the heat on Arizona the whole game. I mean, on the other side of the ball, you got Kyler Murray that always finds a way to kind of keep games interesting. So, like I said, I think they're gonna have to keep putting the foot on the pedal. Arizona has the third worst pass rush, right? So this is gonna give Aaron Rodgers a little bit more time to throw. And I really love kind of zoning into this stat right here because this is kind of crazy to me, and this is where I know that like Rodgers still has it, right? Because Rodgers has if you're looking at PFF, Rodgers has 12 big time throws this year when he's had less than his average time in the pocket. All right, so that means he's still making some big plays with and that's the crazy thing. He's the worst starting quarterback with time to throw in the league. He's 2.3 seconds, right? So going against a defense that is one of the worst pass rushes in the league, you're going to give Aaron Rodgers more time to throw and make even bigger plays. So I really think he's going to have some explosive plays this week. I'm talking a lot about him, but this is probably my biggest. I mean, if I would throw him in the bullish buy section for 5,700 this week, I would do it. I'm really heavy on Aaron Rodgers this week.
No, it looks like you are. No, Aaron Rodgers obviously had a good game last week. I mean, they needed it. The Jets were, in dire need of a win. Me and Kamish actually on our Thursday night Under the Lights DFS episode, we said that the Jets were going to win that game against Houston. They were actually favored. Something had to give. I was like, there's no way the Jets can go to whatever it is, 2-7. So good win for the Jets. Maybe that sparks Aaron Rodgers for hopefully for your DFS lineup this week. But the only thing I don't love about Aaron Rodgers and this Jets offense is just so slow paced, right? So we'll see. We'll see if they can put up some numbers against the Arizona Cardinals. But at a price point of 5,700 with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, I mean, that's all the upside you need. So definitely don't mind the call there.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it goes. giving everybody a couple choices. But let's talk your second guy, uh, another quarterback, but I don't think you have him in a quarterback position, and that's Taysom Hill. So for 4,000, let's hear a little bit about Taysom.
Yeah, so Taysom Hill, I just love the price point of 4,000 and the fact that the Saints lost 30% of their target share with Olave and obviously Shaheed out. So I think it's wheels up for Taysom Hill. The Saints are just a mess right now, and they don't have very many options to go to. So I think Hill is one of them. Among the remaining healthy players, Hill has earned the second most red zone carries, despite just playing 5 games. He had 5 targets last week, 4 for 41, and rushed 5 times for 19 yards. And he's just getting those high volume touches uh, in the red zone, right? So in week 4 against the Falcons that they're going to be playing this week, he scored 2 touchdowns. So Taysom Hill, I think, is going to be utilized again heavily. They really don't have a choice. And for a price point of 4,000, a guy that's going to be utilized in the receiving game as well as the running game in the red zone, for a price point of $4,000, sign me up.
Yeah, Taysom Hill was a guy I actually really liked last week. I think we were joking. I threw him in my lineup. He had a good week. He had I think 16 or 17 fantasy points. But unfortunately, the guy I swapped him out with was Mike Gesicki. So it didn't work out for me. But I definitely like the logic there. I think Taysom Hill is going to have to give Kamara a break because or else they're going to kill the guy Kamara because they're
I
really
know.
down. They're literally down. That's the only weapon they got in New Orleans is an aging Kamara. So I like Taysom Hill. He's definitely got to be a backup running back / backup tight end / backup quarterback for the team. So
Swiss
just
Army knife.
yeah, it's definitely the Swiss Army knife. So yeah, I don't mind it because you know he's gonna get some points. You just don't know quite if it's through the air, running, or catching.
All the above.
All the above. Yeah, he could have a triple double there and
Yeah. Rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown.
exactly. Hey,
Lock it in.
lock it in. Hey, I mean we had Bo Nix last week. He
I
caught a
know
he
he made
caught
a
a
good play. He made a
he
good play
did.
at the goal line.
It was a good catch. All right, so we'll move on to this last guy. He's definitely the cheapest. Definitely going down and dirty a little bit here. I try to just find just a face shot here to kind of keep it a little sneaky. I think I gave it away on our live show a little bit, but you probably know who this is now.
Oh,
Um,
I already knew who this
yeah, I
was.
already knew. Yeah, you recognize the face, right?
I just picked him up on waivers in one of our dynasty leagues. So come on
That's
now.
right. Hey, okay, so maybe I'm on to something here. But I had enough guts to kind of throw him in my DFS lineup this week for 3,800. That's Nick Westbrook Akine, right? So for any pretty avid fantasy manager, you probably recognize the name because he has definitely had a couple blow up weeks. He's been a top 5 wide receiver in the last 3 years a few times. It's been about 4 or 5 weeks. We're like, hey, wait, what? You had Calvin Ridley over there. You had Hopkins last year, and then the Westbrook blows up, right? But I don't mind this play. Like I said, going back to playing the Chargers this week, where as we said, the Chargers are favored 375 in this game. It does kind of signify they're going to have to try to keep they keep come from behind if they are losing. Last week he did just catch 5 of 6 targets for 50 yards and a touchdown. But one key thing I felt pretty interesting is Tyler Boyd, right? You would have thought after the D-Hop trade that Tyler Boyd would be more involved, but his snap percentage went from like averaging about 80% snap percentage with Ridley, D-Hop, and Boyd at the start of the season, and it was down to 29% last week against New England, right? Kind of looking into that, why is, some of that is, hey, I think it's because, Rudolph and Westbrook probably had a little connection in the off season. They're probably, connecting being that number 2 team, because if you remember right, you had Levis with the first team, you had Hopkins, you had the 3 wide receivers, and Westbrook was probably, Rudolph's really main target in practice when he had to go, they got to go up against the starters, if they got to split up in practice and whatnot. So they built this connection that I'm hoping you can kind of keep seeing. but yeah, just ultimately, when they're plus 300 dogs, I don't mind giving them a shot. And it's like I said, and his PFF rating is actually better than Ridley's this year against man and zone. I mean, he's got a 98 PFF rating against zone. It is less obviously snaps. I'm definitely getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I mean, the guy has produced when he's been, when he's had to step up and they've had injuries. So, like I said, he can be a boomer bust guy. That's what I got with Nick Westbrook Akine.
I mean, he scored a touchdown each of the last 4 games. Does that continue? He may be some negative touchdown regression here, but yeah. I mean, I don't love the call just because he has a very, very tough matchup against the Chargers. So it'll be tough, but hey, maybe you can keep the touchdown streak alive. But like as you said, I mean, Boyd did absolutely nothing against the Patriots last week. It was basically Westbrook and Ridley. So hey, maybe that Rudolph to Westbrook Akine connection continues. But I do think it's going to be tough sledding against a tough Chargers defense. But hey, you clearly have some studs in your lineup because $3,800 is a pretty cheap price.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a little bit of a gamble, maybe even a little hot take. And that actually kind of brings us to our last section of the show. And that is going to be our week 10 hot takes too. So I got them on the screen. Ethan, why don't you go first? What do you got for hot takes in week 10?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bonus player this week. Josh Downs is in my lineup. He is priced at 6,200. I mean, I'm very high on him this week. I honestly could have talked about him as my cheap bullish buy here, but Josh Downs, I'm going 8+ receptions and over 100 yards receiving against the Buffalo Bills this weekend. The Buffalo Bills are not very good against the slot receiver. Right now, they're basically a slot funnel defense. Josh Downs runs 85% of his routes out of the slot. Buffalo has allowed the 7th highest target share, 36%, and the 8th most receiving yards per game, 87.4, to the opposing players in the slot. So I think Josh Downs has a big game. I think the Colts are going to be down. I think Flacco's going to be forced to chuck it. And right now, Josh Downs is averaging a 34% first read share. He has 10 targets a game. And I mean, you look at his fantasy points since week 4, excluding his down week in week 7. I mean, he's had 22.2, 15.9, 19.5, down week in week 7 where he only had 1.3, but then he had 25.2 and 12. So I think Josh Downs, Flacco's clearly looking his way early and often. They're going to have to throw the ball. So I think Josh Downs has a very, very big day against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I actually love that call, and that's because I have Josh Downs in my lineup as well. All the reasons you mentioned too. I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, hey, we got all these fantasy stats. Do the actual NFL coaches have these same stats or not? It makes you wonder sometimes. But yeah, no, I definitely like the call because I'm gonna have to because he's in my lineup as
Yeah.
well. So all right, so kind of no surprise here. I kind of talked quite a long time over Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, I think when you just parlay these up, him getting thrown for 2 touchdowns, 280 yards, and 280, it doesn't seem like a lot, but passing yardage is down, passing complete percentage is up, right, overall in the last few years too. So I mean, you got quicker games going on, so it's tough to get those 300 marks. So 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that can be just a smash hit. It's almost in my head not even a hot take. It's just like easy money.
Easy money. You heard it here
Easy
right now.
money right there.
So hey, if it's so your guy Rodgers, okay, he's played 9 games. How many times has he thrown for over 280 yards? Putting you on the
This
spot here. Let's
season,
go. This season,
0.
yeah.
I'm gonna say 0.
No more than 0. So, but 2. So two out of 9 games, he's eclipsed 280. One was 281, so just got over that
Okay,
threshold.
against
But
your New England and then Buffalo. I see. Yep.
yeah, so I don't think I don't think he has over 300. No, not one 300-yard game this season. So I bet you up at the 300.
I like it. I like it. So you're saying it's good because he's going against a great matchup with Arizona.
Yeah, no, he definitely has a chance to get this. Like I said, you just want to see, maybe it would be nice to see Rodgers pick up the pace of play a little bit and allow the Jets offense to run some more plays. But I understand it. Like, hey, you have a good defense, control time possession, give that defense a rest, use that play clock, and try to win a football game.
Yeah, like I mean, I said, part of it is I think it's just Kyler Murray is on the other side of the ball too. I mean, he has like kind of Mahomes-esque where he keeps games interesting. He doesn't always come down winning, but I mean, he's got a handful of games where they're in it in the last drive, right? So, Kyler's playing great. I think he can keep it interesting enough where Aaron's going to have to keep throwing. So,
I
we'll
mean,
definitely see.
it's a must-win game for the Jets. So if they want to keep their playoff aspirations alive, they need to steal one from Arizona.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, both Arizona is pushing for the playoffs too, right? With the Niners not having the season they wanted. I mean, they're in it. They're in it with 4+1s too. So we'll definitely see on that matchup. But that's all we got this week, folks. And like we said at the beginning of the episode, just make sure you're following us on our socials. It's definitely fantasy season, playoff push time. So definitely reach out to us and we'll keep the convos flowing in the DMs, right? So we'll definitely reach out there. But until next time, folks, peace.